What's up, guys? Alex back with another... Sorry, guys. Not Alex. We're the Fundamental Secrets Consultants. We're Alex's left and right-hand man with the drone flying above us. They're spying on us. They want our Bitcoin information. We're not going to give them our private keys, all right? But anyways, Johnny.
Wait, are you the right-hand man or am I the right-hand man?
I think it depends on which way you're looking, right? Because if this way, I am the right-hand man, but from there, you're the right-hand man.
Okay, that's right.
It's kind of like a left versus right Twix, right? I don't know. But Johnny and I are going to be delivering to you guys some crypto news. So Johnny's going to take over right now. He's got a saucy one.
Well, there's a lot of different places where you can get crypto news from, right? But the one that I like to use that it's like a one-stop shop for any sort of news that you want crypto related. It's called cryptonews.net. And what it does is it basically aggregates all the news sources that are out there so that you don't have to go to each individual website. And it collects them so that you can just go through all the articles that are out there in one setting. And then what it also does is it condenses all of the material so that it's only like a couple paragraphs instead of reading pages on pages. So again, that's cryptonews.net. I highly recommend it. And that's sort of where we're going to be looking at all of our articles from today.
Yeah, and then I also use the block, theblockcrypto.com. I like it a lot. Very similar to crypto. Who the heck is...
I think we just had an alligator crawl out from the bank.
This is like, where's Steve? Where's Steve Irwin? But anyways,
actually, it's been a while.
It has been a while.
It's not too soon.
But yeah, I also use theblockcrypto.com, very similar to cryptonews.net. Same thing, aggregates it, makes it very easy to read and understand. Unfortunately, you do kind of have to sign up for it to get more access and stuff, but it is what it is. But Johnny, what do you got in the store for us, man? You were looking at the Bitcoin price, right?
Yeah. So looking at the first article here, Scott Milker,
Scott.
He's like a pretty, I guess you can say, popular Bitcoin price analysis person. He does pretty good technical analysis, as well as some sort of analysis on the broader market as well. So he takes a look at what's going on right now, and he basically said that there's an ascending channel breaking down with a dip into the 4-hour supply. He made a video in his newsletter the other day and basically was saying that we could see a short-term dip, hopefully make some support at the 42K level before it goes back up to all-time highs. Yeah, that's sort of what he's thinking right now.
Yeah, and you and I have kind of been talking about that on our TikToks, how we are expecting a little bit of a correction consolidation with Bitcoin.
Well, it's healthy. We need it, honestly.
Yeah, Bitcoin's done 5 straight green weeks on the weekly chart, right?
Yeah, it broke a record, I believe.
So, I guess if you want to follow the old adage, what goes up must come down, but it is going to be a healthy correction. Obviously, you guys have been following Alex for some time now, and he showed you that meeting he had with our coaches at Fundamental Secrets, kind of Will going over, how he's looking at the dollar index and how he was comparing the 2018 cycle when, we had that crash or correction from all-time highs. And then, we had a dead cat bounce, Bitcoin dominance was going down, altcoins were surging. Very similar situation we're in. At the same time, we're also coming up to September where a lot of this, aid and stimulus is, starting to end. And for some reason, there's really no big explanation for it, but September tends to be the worst month in all markets historically, whether it's, stocks, commodities, Forex. It just tends to always be one of the worst months. Nothing too large percentage-wise, but it just ends up being a negative month. So things are just kind of setting up to almost be like a perfect storm. What was Ted Ritchie, or the founder of Palantir? He said he was buying gold, right?
I believe so, yeah.
I'm blanking on the name, but the owner of Palantir was actually starting to buy a lot of gold, and he said it's because he's getting ready for a Black Swan event. So again, September just ends up, for some reason, being not a really good month in any market. And obviously, with Bitcoin testing that 50K level, that's kind of where we're at. So that's why we're also expecting another hit there. But also another news, Nancy Pelosi, so they are actually going to be finalizing the infrastructure bill September 27th. But news did come out actually earlier today that they are not going to allow any more amendments to be introduced and to be voted on.
Yep.
The infrastructure bill gets passed. So again, not a really good thing for crypto. Obviously, ideally, we wanted a lot of these amendments to obviously get instituted, preferably clear up that definition of broker, because there's a lot of platforms and trading services in crypto that you can't really classify them as a broker. So not really good news there. The fact that she's not going to allow any more amendments to be introduced. Now, the good news is that isn't obviously over, because this bill isn't really going to come into effect until 2023. So up until it actually does get passed, there will be time for other amendments later down the road, closer to when the bill is about to actually be implemented, to maybe get sneaked in last second, kind of with what they did with cryptocurrency with this infrastructure bill. So short term, not a good thing. Long term, there's still an opportunity for us to actually come out on top of it.
I agree with you there. And, it's basically, just to summarize it, lobbyists, they prevented it from coming up with any amendments defining the term broker,
Yeah.
which has had basically the biggest consequence for the crypto industry. So, I mean, that's sort of like the big thing there, if you want to just summarize it all in one thing. And, while all that news is coming out, and, some of that stuff is meant to sort of scare retail out of it, because in the background, what I just want to remind everyone, I have a couple articles here talking about institutional adoption. People forget that, you don't have to invest into cryptocurrency directly in order to basically support what's going on. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if you guys heard, a couple of days ago on August 21st, there was an article that came out saying that the $9 trillion asset manager BlackRock invested in Bitcoin mining stocks heavily, very heavily. Basically, according to Forbes, BlackRock invested about $206 million to buy 6.7% of Marathon Digital Holdings and $176 million to buy 6.6% of Riot Blockchain. The investments were spread across several of BlackRock's mutual funds and exchanges traded ETFs, including its iShares Russell 2000 ETF. These institutions are investing into cryptocurrencies in different ways.
Yep.
Not directly, but in the actual stocks that are supporting it, or heavily exposed to cryptocurrencies themselves.
Exactly.
And there was another article as well where JP Morgan came out disclosing that they own 61% of Coinbase shares. Like that is ridiculous.
Yeah, and piggying back off of Coinbase, they actually, this news is somewhat old, but they're actually adding about $500 million worth of crypto to their balance sheet. So kind of, going off of what a lot of these institutions are doing, starting to add crypto to their balance sheet. But they're not only actually doing Bitcoin, believe it or not, they're actually adding other cryptos as well. So I know they're going to be adding, Ethereum, proof of stake assets, DeFi tokens, and obviously many others that we would have to kind of look into it. So they're not only Bitcoin, they're actually kind of exposing themselves to other cryptos out there, which is really, really nice. And obviously, because they are a trading platform, adding some DeFi projects is going to be good for them. And then talking about institutions, like you were saying, obviously Michael Saylor came out and actually bought even more Bitcoin with the kind of pullback that we had. He bought about $177 million worth of Bitcoin. And what's really cool about this is, so right now they actually own about almost $3 billion worth of Bitcoin, which is crazy. I'm sorry, 5.3 billion. They actually own about $5.3 billion of Bitcoin, and their average price per Bitcoin is $26,000.
That's when they bought in heavily?
That's their average.
Oh, their average?
Their price per Bitcoin. So even when we dipped all the way down to 28, Michael Saylor was still in profit for Bitcoin, which is insane.
No asset can compete with the growth that Bitcoin has had over the past 10 years, hands down. So, makes sense.
That's why they're getting into it.
Exactly. And I just want to correct myself. I said that JP Morgan owned 61% of the shares of Coinbase. That wasn't correct. They own 62,000 shares of it, but they're targeting like 61% above the current price. That's a huge deal with a huge banking institution like JP Morgan Chase getting into crypto, especially.
Oh, yeah.
Just like a year ago, I think one of the head executives of JP Morgan Chase was saying like, we'll never get into cryptocurrencies. Yeah. That is never going to happen. Yet here we are a year later, and now they're heavily invested into it.
Never say never. Never say never. And then one thing to kind of piggyback off also, again, when I was talking about Nancy Pelosi and she's blocking the amendments, Goldman Sachs is also kind of expecting the feds to taper a lot of the stimulus. So for those of you who don't know what tapering is basically they're going to be reducing the amount of stimulus that's actually, being provided on a monthly basis. And right now they're trying to taper at about $15 billion a month, which is even insane to say that kind of number. But that's also another reason why a lot of analysts are expecting a pullback in Bitcoin, is the fact that less stimulus is going to be put out to the people. So there's going to be less, obviously, circulating money. So people are going to be kind of, not spending it as much going to buy stuff. So that's kind of another reason. And again, they're predicting that to happen all the way up until November. So, maybe this pullback will be a little bit longer than what we expect.
Let me ask you something, Marty. What do you think is the most important concern that people should have about like the future of cryptocurrency?
Just waiting to get in. Like, I don't understand why you want to, a lot of people want to wait to get in when they know that, it's already been, around for such a long time. It's been tried and tested, and I can tell it's not a scam anymore. I mean, you're having a lot of the evidence come out in front of you already. I mean, the fact that institutions are buying hundreds of billions of dollars worth of crypto, governments, like look at El Salvador and Paraguay, they're literally adopting it as their legal tender.
Sorry, the drone went by and almost gave you a haircut.
I need it, man. I need it. That's going to be a good shot. Yeah, just a lot of people are just waiting. But the longer you wait, the less you actually have for gains. Like what Alex says, the law of diminishing returns. So right now this is the best opportunity for you to throw in a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 and actually make a substantial gain, right? A 2, 3, maybe 5x. The longer you wait, the less opportunity you're going to have to expose yourself to those, 2 to 5x environment trades, because the market cap's going to be already so large.
For sure. Also, Marty, where are we right now?
We are in sunny South Florida, Sunrise. We are out here in the Everglades, all right? We are out here in the Everglades, guys. Look at us. We got a forklift down there. We got a guy with a crazy drone. We got bikers. We got gators. Tell me something that is more Floridian than this. The only thing we're missing is Publix and a pub sub, which we're probably going to go and get lunch after this, okay? So we are about as Florida as you can get. Surprisingly not rainy, surprisingly not humid. So I'm happy, man. Life is good. I did an ice bath today. Life is good.
It's nice. It's a little bit breezy out here, but, for those who don't know, the Everglades is both the Florida's drainage system and filtration system. Just some Florida facts there.
Florida facts where we filter and we drain everything here.
Back to cryptocurrency. What I was also kind of getting at beforehand was like sort of the adoption like for cryptocurrency, as well as how it translates to traditional markets. Like everybody, what a lot of people are hesitant to get into cryptocurrency right now is because they're saying, historically, if the traditional markets go down, like Bitcoin's going to go down too. Like, why would I invest in it right now when the housing market's about to crash? Equities look terrible. There's a lot of concerns with getting into cryptocurrency because how it's traditionally been tied to, traditional markets and things like that. Like how we saw back in the March scare, with how it dipped, down to like 4K, right? 4K Bitcoin. And the real question is, when is Bitcoin going to have an actual decoupling from traditional markets? Well,
we're gonna have to have a lot more adoption happen first of all.
It's true. We need a higher market cap.
A much higher market cap.
Yeah. Right now it's at like what, 2 trillion?
Yeah. I mean, we're literally. This isn't even like the infancy stage. This is like you're still in the embryo stage.
Yeah, for the total crypto market cap to just catch up to gold, which, looking at total, markets in general, gold is pretty small at like a $8 to $10 trillion market cap. Bitcoin or all of cryptocurrency can 5x from there. That's a lot of money being injected into the system.
And Bitcoin, dominates about half of the cryptocurrency market.
Half of it right now.
Usually, yeah.
Typically.
So Bitcoin itself, I mean, we could see a potential 5x. So from here, it'd be almost $250,000.
Yeah, exactly.
So now, how soon can that happen? I mean, you have people saying that it could happen in this couple, as little as 2 or 3 years. I think we'll do it for sure next bull market.
Sure.
I think we'll definitely test 100K, and then next bull market is when we'll make that final run up. But
yeah, so 20K was 2017's top. 100K will probably be 15K might be the top.
Yeah, or just under 90. Market. I mean, even if we're just under, it's perfectly okay.
I think we're gonna blow past it.
Johnny's a Bitcoin bull. I am a Bitcoin bull as well. So.
Well, bears traditionally have not done too well historically against Bitcoin.
That is true.
But hopefully we'll get a true decoupling. If something does happen with traditional market, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Why don't you also explain to the people, like, what do you mean by decoupling, right? Because some people obviously don't know what it means for, what does it mean to decouple?
Yeah. So basically, like I was explaining before, Bitcoin has traditionally followed suit with how traditional markets react as well. Like when there's a dip in equities, you also see a dip in cryptocurrency as well. And so what would happen is, let's say that there was a 13% correction with equities, or the housing market crash. What we want to see is total cryptocurrencies either not dipping as much or at all, or possibly even reverse, and see a lot of people moving into the asset class as a true hedge against all those things, right? And so we technically haven't seen that before, but hopefully we can see that again. That's what I mean by decoupling.
Exactly. And it's just hard for it to still happen right now, just because a lot of people, trust and believe in the US dollar. But realistically, the dollar's not back to anything, right? Obviously, we're not on the gold standard anymore. And really what the dollar's back to, if you just break it down in the simple terms, it's just back to the US military, right? Our power, our presence in all these other countries and all the influence that we have. So if there was a moment in history where the government got together and said, hey, what if we, backed our dollar to something like Bitcoin, where there's a finite supply, there's a fixed supply, right? They have more than enough money to actually buy a lot of Bitcoin. That would actually not only increase the strength of their dollar, but it actually, in my opinion, I think that it would expose them to less volatility in the overall global market, because they own such a big share of Bitcoin, and it's actually pegged to something that is well an appreciating asset.
No, I agree, because gold and Bitcoin are forms of what's called hard money, right? When you have places like the government that create fiat currency, which is just government backed, it's not backed by anything else. Historically, if you look throughout human history, that sort of thing has always failed, because people can the government can just reprint off and increase the supply no matter what happens. It's not sustainable, guys. And that's the thing. When we came off of the gold standard, when was that? Like back in the 60s, right?
In the 80s with Nixon. 70s, 80s with Nixon,
78,
yeah.
sometime around then. I mean, it doesn't instill a lot of confidence within the dollar. And once you've seen sort of how it's played out, the buying power of the public has been diminishing, for years. So
yeah, 1971 was when we got off the gold standard.
Could you imagine a day where the U.S. government is like, all right, the dollar's too crazy, we're going to be backed by Bitcoin, like the whole country backed by Bitcoin?
Well, everybody's going to, any money they have, they're going to put into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And then the thing with gold as well is that, believe it or not, we don't really actually know how much gold is out there, right? Because not every country accurately reports their current holdings of gold, and not all the gold in the world has been mined.
That's true.
On top of that, you have people like Elon Musk who's trying to do asteroid mining for gold, So if that becomes achievable, and then he starts, mining all this gold, what do you think is going to happen to the price of gold? It's just going to tank, because now we have a much larger supply.
That's true.
He's going to go into outer space, mine all this gold. God knows how much is in this asteroid, and then bring it back here.
He might even find some Dogecoin in that asteroid.
That'd be pretty cool if he did that as well. I've also been looking at a coin, Alchemy Pay. I know Alex was kind of just talking about it briefly, but very cool project. Obviously follows a very similar concept of Bitcoin, where they basically try to take out a middleman, but they're trying to take out the middleman for online transactions, which is really cool. As well as it works pretty much on any kind of platform. So whether it's, doing an app, a POS at a restaurant, like an actual, credit card scanner. So like I said, it basically eliminates the transaction fees. Like you don't have to convert from fiat to crypto, can actually go straight from fiat to crypto in these transactions, which is really cool. So definitely something that I'm watching out on my radar. They're already being used in about 65 countries. They have a lot of integration in, and it looks like they're going, they're getting partnerships with, a lot of the big exchanges like your Huobi, Binance, Cello, all right, a lot of the crypto wallets as well, like Kobo and I'm Token. So very cool project, definitely something that I'm looking at the moment. Let's see what else we can get on the news.
What about, I don't know if you saw, this came out just today. Basically, the Flare mainnet launch was delayed due to the SEC case with XRP. I don't know. It seems like they keep having trouble with this SEC case, though.
Yeah, well, it's so hard to know what is actually happening with this whole SEC case in XRP, and then obviously XRP is going to go up in price, let's say, if that's the case goes in their favor.
Yeah, I mean,
But
yeah,
you
totally.
always mention it. You're like, the fact that they're being investigated by the SEC tells you a lot about the project.
Well,
And this isn't us bashing it. This is just straight.
Yeah,
This is facts. Like this
yeah.
is just, if you look at it from an unbiased, position, they're
Right.
being investigated for the SEC. For you to be investigated by them, obviously there's something going on that isn't really all that good.
Right, right. Well, I think that when it comes to investing into certain assets, you don't want to be heavily positioned into something that is, having sort of issue. Because I mean, even if XRP does do well right now, while other projects are doing a lot better than XRP as far as percentage gains, you don't want to be heavily exposed to something that's not being able, because you're missing out essentially, right? And unfortunately, a lot of new people who are getting into cryptocurrency, they want to put all their money into something in hopes to get rich fast. And so when there's a lot of people out there sort of pushing the narrative for a certain coin, whether it's XRP or something else, that's not very wise to do. But it was just interesting how, it's almost like on a weekly basis we see more issues coming up with
it's always
with the
something.
SEC case.
But besides that, guys, everything in the news is looking fundamentally bullish. PayPal adding trading services in the UK, more and more institutions getting in. Obviously expecting a little dip, nothing out of the ordinary. But guys, that's all that we got from Johnny and I for the news. If you like the video, please leave a like and comment. If you don't, please leave some constructive criticism. And as Alex always says, if you don't get with it, you will get left behind. Catch you in the next one.